Welcome back to World of Immersion. Today we have a very fun ranking, and that is we're going to be ranking the top 10 rides at the one and only Knott's Berry Farm. Now this is one of my home parks, and I have had the chance to visit this park well over 100 times. So we're going to be ranking my top 10 favorite rides from worst to best. Now Knott's Berry Farm has a fantastic collection of both roller coasters and other kinds of rides, so we're going to be including everything on this list. And spoiler alert, I feel like I have a very interesting ranking of the rides here in this park, so be sure to stay tuned till the very end. But before we start today's video, be sure to hit the subscribe button so you never miss when we have brand new content. We have content coming out daily, so there is tons of new stuff to check out on the channel. It also shows that over 97% of you guys who watch these videos are not subscribed, so please hit that subscribe button if you can. It helps out the channel a ton. With that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, so starting off at number 10, coming in at number 10, we have the park's drop tower, and that is going to be Supreme Scream. Now this is a great drop tower. It's very, very forceful. It's very tall. I believe this one is over 200 feet tall, and it gives incredible views of the park. This absolutely gives the best views in the park in my opinion, especially if you are on the side that's facing towards the rest of the park. I also love how this one takes you up very slowly and holds you at the top. It allows you to see that great view for a long time, and I love how this one bounces at the end. Gives a great feeling of weightlessness. Overall, this is just a great ride to have in the park. I love when parks have drop towers. And when this one's running all three towers, it definitely has some of the best capacity in the park. But moving on to number 9, we have one of the park's roller coasters, and that is going to be Pony Express. Now this ride is a ton of fun. I just have one major complaint with it, and that it is way too short. However, that out of the way, it is still a fantastic ride. I love the interaction that you get with Calico River Rapids. Going over the water is incredible. The launch is definitely decently forceful. I love that you get to ride on like an actual horse. It's very, very cool. That seating position is a lot of fun. But like I said, it is just way too short to be any higher on this list. But coming in at number 8, we have Sierra Sidewinder. Now even though this ride is in the Camp Snoopy section of the park, it is by no means a kiddie coaster at all. This is a very intense coaster. It is fantastic though. I'm a huge fan of Sierra Sidewinder. Once again, it is one of those rides that is just a little bit too short for my liking, but it's very, very smooth. It's got some great forces, and I love that it's a spinning coaster. And just overall, it's a very solid supporting coaster to have in this park. Definitely is a little funny though that it's in Camp Snoopy because it's way too intense to be a kiddie coaster. But moving on to number 7, this might be surprising to people as I think a lot of people have this ride ranked a lot higher. But for me at number 7, we have Silver Bullet. Now don't get me wrong, this is still a great ride. However, it is by far my least favorite B&M invert that I have been on. For some reason, I don't know what it is about this one, but this one makes me very nauseous. I also think that the elements are just not that great. They're taken a little too slow to be super forceful, and a little too fast to provide any hang time. It's kind of in that in-between gray area, where it just doesn't really provide that much forces at all. The really forceful part, though, does come at the end with that helix, which is great, and I do like the vertical loop a lot. But besides that, there's not really any standout elements to me, and I really just don't love the drop. It feels almost like a ramp. It's not very steep at all. However, that being said, it is still a great solid supporting ride to have in the park. I think a B&M invert in general is a fantastic ride to have in a park. But moving on to number 6, we have the one and only Calico Mine Ride. Now this is one of the first rides in this park, and it still holds up really, really well today. It is a dark ride where you're on a train and you get to explore a ton of caves with miners in it. They're blasting dynamite. It is just really cool. There's one scene that is just massive. They have the huge mining hole, and it is so cool. There are a ton of animatronics in there. The set design is really, really good. It honestly rivals a lot of newer dark rides in my opinion because of just how immersive it is. It can get a little bit spooky if you're a younger kid because it gets very dark in there. And it's very loud, especially towards the end with the blasting scene. But I think this is a great ride to have at Knott's Berry Farm. A very solid supporting ride. I love when parks are able to have a good collection of both intense thrills and really good immersive dark rides. And this one is no joke. It is a ton of fun. Highly recommend checking this one out if you can. I feel like a lot of people skip it because it's not a crazy huge coaster, but don't skip it. This is one of the best rides in the park. But moving on to our top 5, and at number 5 we have the one and only Calico River Rapids. Now if we were to make this ranking 10 years ago, this ride would be a very different story. Back when it was Bigfoot Rapids, it was cool, but it is just so much better now that it's Calico River Rapids. They did an entire retheme of the ride. They added in animatronics. They redid a lot of the sets and everything, and it is great. They completely rethemed the queue, and the queue looks amazing now. I am a huge fan of Calico River Rapids. It also has probably one of the best capacities in the park. That line actually moves really fast. And like I said, the queue is really good. It's a very well themed queue. Just overall, it's a very immersive ride. I love all the scenery around it. The natural landscape is great. And like I said, those animatronics are really, really cool. Especially the huge one at the end, when it's working, is very, very cool. You don't get too crazy wet on this, which I love. I don't love rapids that get you completely drenched, especially because in Southern California, while it is hot, sometimes in the wintertime, this ride is still open, and it's nice not to be able to get too crazy wet. Checking out this ride at night, too, is a lot of fun. I highly recommend checking it out at night if you can. But moving on to our top 4, and at number 4, we have HangTime, the park's Gerstlauer Infinity Dive Coaster. And this ride is great. When it opened, I think I liked it just a little bit more than I do now. And that's because it has gotten quite a bit rougher as of recent. But that being said, it's still a really cool ride. I love the vertical lift. The dive is great as well. That drop is really, really cool. Especially if you're in the back row, you get some really great airtime. And this ride, obviously, what it does best is its hang time. That hang time over all of the inversions is really, really good. There are also some really solid pops of airtime. A really noticeable one is right before that final Cobra roll. That airtime pop is really, really good. I really love these restraints on the ride. The clamshell lap bars fit it really well. You feel very, very open, especially up on that lift hill. You really feel like you're about to fall out with no over-the-shoulder harnesses going up that lift hill. It is very cool. It's a really interesting feeling. And this ride provides some fantastic views of the park. When you're up there, be sure to look around. It is really, really cool. And just overall, a great, solid supporting ride. I just wish it wasn't as rough as it is. But moving on to number 3, and at number 3, we have the one and only Xcelerator, the world's first Intamin rocket coaster, and honestly, one of the only ones still left standing, which is really interesting. But this ride is still incredible. It has one of the best launches I have ever experienced on a coaster. An incredibly intense launch. The top hat is a lot of fun. If you're in that back row, you get whipped over it with some great airtime. I love that this ride just has the lap bars still. That was my major complaint with King Dakar and Storm Runner over at Hershey Park, is that those rides don't have these same lap bars that the original Top Thrill Dragster and Xcelerator have, because you feel just so much more open. It is crazy that there's just a tiny little lap bar and a seatbelt for this ride, but it's awesome. It's also definitely decently intense through those overbanked curves. I love that it doesn't just end right after that launch. There still is a little bit more ride after. I think that's great. It fully rounds out the ride in my opinion. And it still runs really, really well. It's still very smooth for being over 20 years old. Just overall, a really great ride to have in the park. However, do be warned, this line gets insanely long. I would recommend checking this one out very early on in the morning if you can, especially because a lot of people go right over to Ghost Rider. Checking out Xcelerator in the morning is a great idea because not that many people go there, and that line moves so insanely slow, especially because I rarely see them running with more than one train. But moving on to number 2, and at number 2 we have the one and only world famous Timber Mountain Log Ride. This is one of the best log flumes on the planet. I am a huge fan of Timber Mountain Log Ride. Now, just a few years ago, I probably would have ranked this a little lower, but I have grown to really appreciate this ride and what it does. This is the ride that inspired the one and only Splash Mountain over at Disneyland, and I am a huge fan of it. It's got some really great dark ride scenes. The flumes themselves are decently fast and provide some great thrills. It's got 2 really good drops. I love that drop in the dark, though. It is pitch black. And just overall, the set design and theming of this ride is amazing. You start up that lift hill and you go into that little workshop area, and there are a ton of animatronics in there. Then you go into the other dark ride scene with the train and the wolves. It's very, very cool. And then as soon as you go down that drop in the dark, you're just in these massive sets. I don't even know where they put these sets in the ride. You look at the building and you're like, there's no way that they can fit that big of a set in that room. But they do. It's crazy. That finale scene too, with all of the animatronics all dancing and everything, is amazing. And then as you go up that lift hill, getting ready to explode the dynamite and drop you down the drop, it's just a really great finale to a ride. One of the best overall package rides. If you haven't had the chance, be sure to check this ride out during Halloween. They re-theme it to the Halloween Hoot Nanny, and it's very cool. They added a ton of new props and stuff. It's a lot more spooky. If anything, it's honestly better during Halloween. I would definitely recommend checking it out then if you can. But just overall, do not miss this ride. It is one of the best rides in the park and such a classic attraction. But it doesn't come in at number 1, and I think it is obvious to anybody watching this video. If you have ever watched our videos on the channel, you know how much I love the number 1 attraction in this park, and that is going to be the one and only Ghost Rider. One of my personal favorite wooden roller coasters, one of my personal favorite roller coasters just of all time. It's my favorite roller coaster in the entire state of California, and I think that this is just a near perfect roller coaster. Honestly, I can pretty much say zero flaws with this ride. It is incredibly smooth. It has really, really good airtime. One really strong moment of airtime is that drop off of the old mid-course brake run. You go around that turnaround, and if you're in that back row, you get whipped over that drop. It is so steep. You get some insane airtime. I love how the first half is very drawn out. You got these big airtime hills, big elements, and then as soon as you go down that mid-course drop, you were just flying under the rest of the structure. If you get a chance, ride this ride at night. If you can get a back row night ride on Ghost Rider, it is one of the most incredible experiences you could ever have on a roller coaster because it's pretty much pitch black, and especially that second half where you're flying under the structure, you have zero clue where you're going. It feels completely out of control while still being very, very smooth, and just overall one of the best experiences I've ever had at a theme park. And that's why it comes in at number 1. But that's going to do it for our ranking of the top 10 rides at Knott's Berry Farm. Be sure to comment down below if you have a different ranking. I'm sure everybody's going to have a very, very different ranking than me. But yeah, comment down below if you agree with me. Be sure to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed it today. We have tons of new content coming out, like I said. We have tons of stuff coming up from Horror Nights as well as the one and only Knott's Scary Farm. So be sure to stay tuned for all of that. But thank you so much for watching World of Immersion, and we'll catch you in the next video.